Well, Brian, I'm super excited to have you on with us today. You are a pastor to all sorts of really interesting people, influential leaders, celebrities, entrepreneurs. But before you got into that work, you were in what I would describe as a crisis, and you had this supernatural encounter with God that changed absolutely everything in your life. So let's start with your life before Jesus. What was it like?
Oh my gosh. So growing up, thanks for having me, by the way. It's such an honor. You guys are amazing people. Before I was a drug addict, alcoholic, sex addict, lost everything in bankruptcy, had a child at a very young age, mouth cancer, OD'd on drugs, had a heart attack, completely rock bottom in my life. Literally, I was telling you, Billy, I snorted 21 lines of coke. I had lost everything in my life, family, friends, had pushed everyone away from me, and I was laying out in my family's open field, had just snorted the 21 lines of coke, and I was like, "This is it. I just want to be gone. I want to be done." And that's when everything changed. Everything changed. When we talk about miracles, that was my first miracle that I saw in my life.
In what way? I mean, so how did you encounter God in that moment? Like, you're here, you've done 21 lines of coke. Like, I'm already like, I can already feel myself getting ready to cry. I'm like, what? So, like, what happened?
Yeah, so it was so just to go back before all that started, I was raised in the Southern Baptist church, man. I mean, it was like hardcore, hardcore. And we didn't really I was telling Billy, I didn't we thought like miracles and like the charismatic movement. We always thought like I was taught that that was really weird and to stay away from those people. And so I always went to church because if you go to a Southern Baptist church, I love the preaching and the teaching. Like they're deep. I mean, it's. But the thing was, is I knew Jesus but didn't know Jesus, and so I was the middle child. I was the hellion. I was this crazy nut, and so it was through years of just running away from. I didn't want anything to do with the church. Didn't want anything to do with Jesus. I saw how everybody kind of lived that life, and I just didn't want nothing to do with it. And so fast forward, living this crazy life, going down this road of losing everything in my life. As I'm laying there in that open field, it was interesting because everything that had been spoken into me that I didn't know was spoken into me, raised in the church, kind of came back at that moment. And so I was laying there in that field and I was like, you know what? I don't know why it came to me, but I was like, God, if you're real, this is it. Like, and I need you to come into my life right now, and I need you to change my life, and I need an encounter with you. And I did. I prayed some crazy, bold, audacious prayer that I didn't even know what I was saying, but I said it, and I'll never forget it. As I said, just use my story in a way that will impact the world. And I literally 21 lines of coke, completely sobered up in that moment, laying in the field. Like we talk about miracles and we talk about, your all documentary, Billy, your documentary. Miracles just aren't someone being raised from the dead or someone's leg growing or someone's eyes opening. A miracle is my first miracle was God literally sobered me up in that moment and I had an encounter with him and he came into my life and then everything changed. Everything changed.
Wow. How old were you when that happened?
Oh my gosh, probably 21 years old.
Wow. So you're a young guy, you're starting your life, but yet your life, you want it to end before you have that encounter with God. You're laying there. What were some of the things, and I want to get more into the encounter and how your life changed and how addiction and all that went away, but when you think about how you got to that place, right? Like how did you end up doing drugs? Like what were the things that led you down the path of desperation?
I think it was for me, I was like I don't know if you meet those people that they'll just do anything and try everything. I think I lived in such a religious house that it was like, this is bad. You're going to hell for this, and you can't do that, and you can't do this, and you can't watch this, and you can't watch that, and you can't wear this. And I was just so over it. I was like, you know what? Everybody else was doing it. All the other kids were having fun, and I'm gonna go have fun because they look like they're having a great time. And and so, it started it always started for me. It was like, hey, tobacco, or hey, and then it ended up drugs and smoking pot. And then next thing I know, that I found that cocaine was my choice of drug. But I think just life in general, I think I was just fighting against how I was raised. Like, don't push this on me anymore. I don't believe in what you believe. I don't care about what you believe. I just want to live my life and have fun. And it went bad quick, very quick.
You're giving me anxiety as a mom that I have to like put back on Jesus. I'm gonna be like, oh my gosh.
Jen, trust me, I have 5 kids. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, it's a lot of prayer. A lot of praying for my kids. Wow. I mean, you described like you were an addict, there was a lot of chaos in your life, and you've described your upbringing and wanting to rebel against it. How much do you believe of that was rooted in spiritual struggle and spiritual oppression?
Oh my gosh. I believe a lot of it. I think, how the devil blinds your eyes. I think for me, um, I think it was a, I think it was definitely a spiritual battle. I didn't know it then. I mean, I know it now. I look back at my life now and I'm like, wow, the devil just really had all the kids today. I mean, kids just the way the younger that just aren't tapped into what we know now or what we're doing now. I'm telling you, the devil is it's just a stronghold, with alcohol and drugs and sex and all the things that people deal with today. Um, and so I think for me, I am desperate for people to just have an encounter with God. I think that's where it starts. If you don't have the whole surface stuff, I'm not about surface. Like I want to have an encounter with God. Like I want people, because that's when things happen. That's when that you know what I'm saying? That's when things shift. And I think a lot of things have changed now. I think back, especially with you guys and myself, back then it was, especially the way I was raised. I wish if I could go back, I so wish I would have been raised in a charismatic Pentecostal church. Like now seeing the gifts of the Spirit and how God works and how God moves and seeing that power, I'm like, man, I miss that for my whole life. And I'm not gonna say that I sit here and regret my life. I learned so much through it, but man, the Spirit of God is so powerful.
I just want to encourage you really fast because I'm 40. I got radically saved at 9, like just encountered the Lord at 9. And so I'm 31 years in deep with the relationship with the Lord. And this is why Billy and I are like funny podcast hosts. Billy's like, I appreciate Billy so much because Billy's very intelligent and he has like these very in depth thoughts. And then I'm like a kid in the candy shop that's like, wow, that's amazing. Wow, that's amazing. And so I just want to say that the nice thing about you not having had it as a child is that childlike wonder doesn't go away. Once you have a hunger and a thirst for the Lord and you've encountered him, it just keeps going, like you don't have to regret your childhood because you're like, my walk with the Lord is still like a child.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think well, I mean, if you have once you have an encounter with God and you literally having a moment with God, I don't see how anyone could go back. I mean, it is the most amazing thing, like a healing, a deliverance, whatever it may be. When you have that moment, that for me, I've been fighting hard for it ever since.
I love that. I mean, I'm 41 and I grew up in the church my entire life, right? And I was 6 years old when I first, yeah. I'm older than you, Jim.
Man, I'm the oldest guy here. This is the person here. This is
Listen,
crazy.
but it is crazy because only the last couple of years have I started to have those experiences with God that I should have been having the whole time, but I wasn't in churches where that was really happening, right? And so it's funny how we're on these journeys, but to your point, once you start having it happen, I'm reading all these books now, like how do I hear the voice of God clearer? Or how do and and as we're talking about this, going back to your experience at 21 in that field, you sobered up, but you also, I mean, well, like, I don't want to lead the question. Tell us what happened. Did you end up doing drugs again? Like from that moment on, how did that encounter permanently change you?
Well, yeah, so never again have I ever touched a drug since that day, and, 3 weeks later, um, definitely knew it was God because I met my amazing, smart, intelligent, I call her my supermodel wife that, um, literally God sent me a woman that was a just graduated seminary from Lee University, which was obviously a charismatic college, and she was a virgin. She was just when I look at it, I'm like, God sent me the most perfect thing for the dirtiest thing. And then now that I think about it, I'm like, isn't that what Jesus did? The most perfect for all of us dirty, sinful people, And he sent me my wife, and I'll never forget. She told me, she said, we were at a pool party, and she said, "I'm gonna marry a pastor." And I laughed at her. I literally laughed at her. I was like, "That there is no way that that's gonna be me." And here we are. I'm a pastor. And so it was funny. I kind of rode on her coattails. She got hired on at this massive mega church, 10,000 plus member church in Kentucky, and they hired her as the middle school pastor. And the pastor sat down with me and he said, "Well, if we're bringing her on, we're bringing you on." And I didn't know that's how ministry worked, but I found out really quick. And and so he goes, "You're gonna be teaching the middle school boys." And I'm like, "Dude, I was snorting coke like 2 months ago. Like, are you kidding? Like, you're gonna if these parents find out."
This fast after your
Yes,
encounter.
yes, this fast. And so everything I'm gonna tell you is like super divine fast. And so I'll never forget. The first day, there was like 20 boys in this room, and I'm so scared. I'm so scared. And I'm actually scared that like parents are gonna find this out. And so my wife had to write my sermon. She had to write my prayer. I had never prayed. I had never prayed out loud, definitely. And so I'm freaking out and so scared. And so I get up there and I felt so good, y'all. I felt like it was like, this was, I didn't know anything about calling at that time. And so I just keep going week after week. And my wife is writing this. Well, finally, I'm like getting into it and I'm preparing messages and I'm flowing. And next thing I know, like 6 months in, there's over 200 boys in the room and there's salvations and like things are crazy are happening. And and then fast forward, we go from middle school, Lord blesses it, high school, college. Then I become an associate pastor, an executive pastor, and these are all throughout the years now. And then I become a lead pastor. I start my own church. God blesses it. I start the Cincinnati Dream Center, which is like the LA Dream Center. It blows up here in Cincinnati. We're serving tens of thousands of people, and now I'm on top of the world in the ministry world with the church, with the nonprofit, and this is all from and all of that. So from that encounter in a field, and now me running a high level ministry and a nonprofit, you're talking probably 12 years. Within 12 years, God has just moved that much. And I never, and I haven't even got to even the better stuff. I mean, this is, if you can't call that divine and a miracle from God, I don't know what is.
I mean, as you're going through all of that, I'm thinking, okay, going into ministry is shocking enough with your background and only a couple of months after, right? You have that fact. Then you have this other facet of your life. Now, as I mentioned at the top of the episode, you're coaching celebrities. You are out there, as a spiritual mentor to all of these entrepreneurs and people, and it's a really unique population, which we'll talk about after. But I want to know first, how in the world did you go from, okay, I'm doing this crazy ministry, I've gone from addict into ministry to, oh, now I'm going to go into this other level of ministry that's a really totally different animal entirely.
What's funny is I'm a perpetual student of life. I love learning and I love growing, and I never knew that when I was doing drugs. But all I was thinking was, what's the next party? What's the next girl? What's this stuff? And then it went to like, wow, I really love to learn. And then when I had that encounter with God, I was like, I want to know this guy more. I want to have a relationship with this. And so I finished my business degree, then I went back to school and got my ministry degree. Then I went back to school and got my coaching degree. And I love school. I'm constantly doing school, always. And I will probably do school until I'm 90 years old. I love it. I'll have probably 20 degrees. I just love it. I love learning. Well, so 9 years ago, I am about 9 years ago. I'm laying in bed, top of the game in ministry now. Now I'm not like a Stephen Furtick or anything, but I'm at like the top of the game here in this area, and I'm feeling good. Great money. I'm traveling the world. The nonprofit's flourishing. The church is doing well, and I'm laying in bed. And God, I had this dream that I will never forget. It was literally like the Lord just showed up, and I was living this dream. And I saw it very clear that God wanted me to walk away from the church and the nonprofit. And I'm like, and at that moment, I'm like, this can't be God. That's got to be the devil. Like we're seeing lives change. We're seeing salvation. Like we're seeing, you know, human trafficking victims saved. Like we're seeing the craziest stuff. Like God is moving, and you want me to walk away from this now? And so I did what everyone would do. I didn't listen because I was making great money and life was good and people knew my name and I was traveling the globe, and I didn't listen. And so I was
You thought
preaching.
God had it wrong, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe God
yeah.
had it wrong.
I think yeah. I know now he didn't, but at that
Like,
but
surely you don't mean to take up my cross, Lord.
yeah,
Surely
right,
not.
exactly. So I was preaching a sermon in Lower Price Hill, the ghetto of Cincinnati, probably the worst area. People die, I mean, here every day almost. I mean, it's insane. And I'm preaching a message to about 700 people on Thanksgiving. And after the message, I had my security take me out to my car so I could get home to family. And before I could start the car, this red SUV pulls up, and this gentleman jumps out, and he's about 10 feet in front of me, and he pulls out a gun and he unloads the whole clip. And then he jumps back in his car and he leaves. And as I'm sitting there in my car, I'm like, am I dead? Did I get hit? I mean, literally pointing it right at me. And I get out of the car, and I find that I didn't get hit by a bullet and my car didn't get hit by a bullet, but he was trying to kill the guy underneath my car. Now, some will say that just happened. I say that God was like, listen, bro, here's another sign of why I want you to move and listen to me when I'm telling you. Now, again, I all my mentors were like, literally, I called my mentors up and told them this in shock. And they're like, does God show you something recently? That was their first thing they asked me. Like, did God show you something recently? And I'm like, well, actually, he did show me this dream. And so what did I do? I didn't listen. I still didn't listen. And so I went down this path of like 6 more months of not listening and went through some crazy stuff that I probably can't say on air yet because it's just too crazy. But I will say, um, after about 6 months of not listening, um, God brought me to a place where, you know what? Can I just say it? Are we good? Can I just open up?
Say it. Just say it.
Because this is disgusting. This is crazy.
Okay. Well, God's a God of mercy, and his thoughts are higher than our thoughts, and his ways are not our ways. So good. Let's go.
Well, it's crazy. I don't think I've ever said this on a podcast before. So I didn't listen after the shooting, and God said, and I was like, God, I've got this. I got this ministry. I was the face of the ministry. It was all about me. It wasn't about God. You know how a lot of pastors. That's why a lot of pastors fall. By the way, a lot of pastors with infidelity, money, but also it becomes about me and not about God anymore. We started for the right reason, but then it becomes. And uh, so me and my wife were doing CrossFit, and we love working out. We love fitness. We still do to this day. And we come home. I come home from a heavy deadlift day, and I tell my wife, I'm like, sweetie, like my lower back is crushing me right now. There's something different about this. And she's like, oh, you know how our wives are. They're like, man up, your back hurts, you sleep on it. She played it. Okay, honey. So I lay down, and I wake up in the middle of the night in excruciating pain, the worst pain that I've ever been in my life. They rushed me to the hospital, and this is when I found out that God's plan A is humility, God's plan B is humiliation. And so and so I get rushed to the hospital. The doctor walks in and he says, "Brian, you have an abscess the size of a softball inside of your rectum, and we are going to have a major surgery. But after this surgery, this is going to be the worst pain you have ever felt in your life, and you're going to be bedridden for 3 months. 3 months. You can't do anything. So for 3 months to bedridden. Bedridden, on antibiotics for 3 months, on painkillers for 3 months, the most excruciating pain I've ever dealt with in my life, and I found the humility to the humiliation. I mean, how you couldn't humiliate me anymore, you gotta give me an abscess in my rectum? I'm like, "Seriously, God?" Like, and now I'm bedridden, and I can't do ministry, and I'm the face of the ministry, so I literally laid in that bed for 3 months, mad at God, screaming at God, cursing God. I watched every Netflix, every Prime movie you could watch, every series you could watch, just so I didn't have to talk to God. And 3 months later, I had another laying in the field miracle moment. I said, God, I will do whatever you want me to do. I will walk away from everything and I will listen. And immediately at that moment, the dream that God showed me that night was this. And this is why it was so crazy. You're going to walk away from everything and you are going to be the pastor and spiritual coach for the most elite in the world. In that dream, I saw me walking around with like high level celebrities and ambassadors and presidents and all of these wealthy, successful people. And I thought it was so crazy because y'all, I'm a Kentucky boy. I was born and raised on a farm. Like my best friends are cows, chickens, and goats. I knew nobody. And I'll never forget laying in that bed when I submitted to God again, that laying in the field moment again, and I said, "Well, who do I know?" And so I looked at my roster of people. A lot of the NFL teams, they get it's interesting, but they get made to do charity work. And so I went to my roster and I saw that a couple Bengals, Cincinnati Bengals, were serving at my nonprofit, and so I called them up and said, "Hey, can I do coffee with you?" And I sat down with them and I told them the dream. And they're like, "Oh my gosh, Brian, that is unbelievable. Like, do you realize these high level people, a lot of them don't go to church. A lot of them, they could definitely use someone just to do a one-on-one, just pastor them, coach them." And I said, "Well, I don't know anybody. Can you connect me?" And next thing I know, I'm coaching two guys that are two of the biggest music producers in the world. They were my first clients, and next thing I know, 8.5 years, 9 years to where I am today, I've coached over 1,000 of the biggest names in the world. I travel 200 days out of the year. Ambassadors, presidents, the wealthiest people in the world, you name them, I've worked with them or am working with them. And I found through all of this the reason why God wanted me to do it. And He wanted me to do it because He said, Brian, it's going to take a special person that can be in these rooms and that can get along with these people. But in the church, you could reach tens of thousands. I mean, we have a church here that's the biggest church in America. They had 200,000 people on Easter. And the thing was, he's like, you can reach those people in the church, but if you reach these people because of their platforms, you will reach the masses. And so that's what we're doing. And I'm seeing lives just completely transformed and changed. And it's just such a blessing from looking back at my life and laying in a field at 21 years old, ready to take my life to now. It's endless. Where I mean, the mission that we have now, I've built His church without walls, and I truly believe that is the mission. Is can we get out of the four walls of the church? Last time I checked, Jesus didn't say meet me at the synagogue at 2:30. Jesus went to the people, and I think that is what I've created with His church without walls and the round table that I'm doing, and just everything I'm doing is like, let's go be the church. Let's go to people and their families.
I just want to jump in really quick, Billy, because I have such a heart for Hollywood too. I mean, that is like my heartbeat. That's like what I always wrestle with God with. I'm like, God, you can do anything with my life, but like I have such a heart for this community because they're so misunderstood. And so I just want to like quickly acknowledge for the listeners, so many times Hollywood and entrepreneurial circles carry a certain reputation and sometimes even a spiritual stigma, but not everyone in those spaces is dark or broken. And so I just love that you're out there pastoring them. And I've always said about Hollywood that I love is that this is a group that's so hungry for the real encounter with God. They just want truth. So many times they just don't know where to find it. So, I mean, obviously, would you agree? And have you witnessed God moving in these often misunderstood arenas?
Oh my gosh. I think one of the other reasons that God, called me to this and chose me for this was, so when I met my wife, and I promise I'll get to what you're saying, is when I met my wife, her being charismatic and me being Southern Baptist, she took me into the Pentecostal church, and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. I mean, it was crazy. Literally the first time I was there, like her sister was standing beside me and she just took off running. And I was like, what is happening right now? And but it was so it's what's crazy to me now is like, oh my gosh, like the one thing another reason why I think God chose me is I call myself a non-denominational Baptist now because I kind of brought all three into my ministry, but I've seen the Spirit of God move. And I think, for an example, I may have somebody call me at 3 in the morning, and by the way, it's true, and say, hey, I need you at New York. There's this high level person that's on his deathbed, and I need you to be here. We'll send you a jet. Be here, and we need you to lay hands on them and pray over them. And next thing I'm there praying over a person, and you're seeing God move. You're seeing like everywhere God takes me, I'm seeing people healed, delivered, saved. But I think when it comes to celebrities, what I'm finding is a lot of them they have this void in their life. I think if people could understand this one thing, people think that if you have money or you have fame or you have influence, like you're this happy Care Bears and rainbows type of life. Well, it's not. They are completely unhappy. They are broken. They are hurting. Yes, they have six houses. Yes, they have Lambos and all kinds of cars and all kinds of good stuff, but they're only buying it because guess what we do? Guess what the middle class do? What do? We do drugs, we do alcohol, we watch porn, we have sex out of marriage, we do all these things to numb our pain and our mourning and our voids. Well, guess what they do? They have money, so they do it on a higher level, but then they buy things. And so, but it's a void they have in their life. And so when they hire me or I come into their life and start doing life with them, we find out that that's the void. It's Jesus. They haven't had an encounter with the Lord. And then when they have that encounter, oh my gosh, they are the most generous, the happiest people alive.
Yeah. I mean, there's an awesome documentary I watched years and years ago, so maybe it's not awesome and maybe I'm just remembering wrong, but it was called Celebrity, like Cell. And it was just talking about how celebrity, the tough thing about I'm like a pseudo celebrity. I don't know what I am, B-list, C-list, people know me, but I'm not like Jennifer Aniston. But there is a weird
You've had a very solid career. I have to stop and tell you had a very, very
I've
solid
had a
career.
solid career. I feel like my best days are ahead of me, but still, I'm just saying if I can feel this way, you have to know that like more important, higher profile people, how bad do they feel it? Because I have Jesus too. There is a weird not knowing if somebody wants to be friends with you because of you or because of your status. And that's what really blows, And so I just love that you're going in there because that's what they want. It's like, I don't want anything from you. Like, I don't want anything from you. I just want you to encounter Jesus. Like, I'm not here for anything. I just love it.
Oh, that's so sweet. No, I think that's the one thing is I think celebrities, it's always, what do you want? What do you need? Like, what are you asking for? What's the big ask? And I think it's the one thing that I've had going for me is like I've just recently in the past year had to really do marketing and build my brand and influence and all this stuff. But like for the first 8 years, 7.5 years, I guess, whatever, it was all word of mouth. Like this celebrity, like if this celebrity would talk to this celebrity or this influencer would talk to this influencer, and that's literally how it all came to be. I wasn't out there paying for ads or doing marketing. I am now because I'm building my group and building the things that I'm doing, but um no, it was all they understood that like just be a and be available. Be available. For an example, this will be a cool story to tell. I had been traveling all week because I'm constantly traveling to different people, and so I've been traveling all week, and I got 5 kids and a wife too, so I do like to well, I try to take them about half of my travel with me just so they can experience the world, but I came home after a long week, and I think I was before that week, I was gone. I was home for 2 days, and I was gone for 2 weeks, and I just got home, and I'm like, I get a week off, and I'm laying in bed, uh, my phone goes off at 3 a.m., and, it's a very high level person, and he goes, "I'm gonna kill myself," and I'm like and so my heart breaks, and then I'm like I go in, and then I tell my wife, and she's like, "Hey, this is what God's called you to do. Go get in the car." 'Cause there's, no planes are flying. "Go get in the car, it's a 3-hour drive," and she goes, "Go be with this person." And I drive there, I get there, and there's a brick of cocaine sitting on the kitchen table. I flush it down the toilet, and I'm there with this person for 3 days, and he has an encounter with God, and God literally changed his life, and he's better than ever right now. But I think coming the reason I tell you that is you have to be available. You have to be there for them and do life with them. And I think a lot of people, when God was showing me is like, have you ever noticed like the church, people tend to they want to talk to the pastor. They want to be around the pastor. Wouldn't it be great to have a pocket pastor where you could just have him anytime you want and talk to him and with your issues and your questions and
You're
all
like,
your
it's called the Holy
right,
Spirit.
right.
Yeah.
Right. But it would like I think people they tend to look at their pastor like, man, I'd love to be able to just dine with him and talk with him.
It's like the same thing as celebrity within the
It
church.
is.
It's like
It
we have
is.
celebrity pastors, even if they're, it's all status climbing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so what I did, it was interesting, is now these celebrities, they actually have someone that they can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if they call me, and I'll be there on a plane to them and there with their families. And I didn't think it was a thing. I didn't think it existed, but here we are. And this is now what we're trying to build with his Church Without Walls. My goal is this year to have 500 pastors and spiritual coaches that are literally full time traveling the globe, going to the people.
How how often, I mean, the example you just shared, I would imagine the answer would be yes to this, but how often are you, when you go in and you're meeting with these people, are you dealing with intense spiritual warfare, evil? Are you seeing those things, and how do you then deal with that with these individuals?
Oh, Lord have mercy. Have you been around politics? Oh my gosh, talking about the
Oh, I have.
yeah, gosh,
I have.
you talking about the I have dealt with some crazy people, y'all, like celebrities, and I love them dearly, and they would laugh if they heard me say it because they know their past I'm talking from housewives of Beverly Hills to Orange County to New Jersey to I mean all the crazy, but there is nothing I have found that there is nothing darker than in the political realm. It is so dark. And it was like I don't care if I'm going into the White House, if I'm going to some like Senate, Congress, or just Mar-a-Lago, it doesn't matter. Like it's so there's a spirit, it's a demonic spirit over it. And let me tell you something, we have casted out many demons, and we've seen healing take place and deliverance take place, and I've prayed it with people before. And is it hard to handle? I'll tell you, I'll just be honest with you, it's pretty freaky at times, but because I've seen some crazy, crazy stuff for probably another time on here. But I will.
Hold on. What's the craziest thing you've seen? I'm curious. Like, you might as well. What would you say? And I'm not saying it for shock value. I ask people this because I think it helps bring it to fruition. It helps people understand the level to which this sort of stuff will go if people leave it unchecked in their lives.
Yeah. So I have to be careful. I'll tell you this crazy story. So It's in a political scene. It had to be no, yes, no names, but it's in a political scene, and I come in as the pastor, as the coach, and I didn't know any of the other people, but the person that entered, brought me in, and I immediately fell like when I walk because I'm very good now. I just because of my intimacy and relationship with the Father. When I walk in a room, like it's like hitting a brick wall if it's demonic or if it's like spiritually just dark. And it's like walking in a crack house or something. It's crazy, and you would never even get. Oh, you feel it. And so I walk in, and then I spot this person, and that yes, we'll call him Bob, and he's definitely there's a devil. I mean, there is multiple demons in this guy, and so I'm not gonna play games. Like I'm like Jesus is about to show up and show off right here in this room. I'm so confident in the Father. I'm so confident in our Father. Like he's gonna and it's gonna make a statement. And so I lay hands on this guy, and no one knows it's coming. And I immediately go for it. I'm not gonna have a conversation. I immediately know it's there, and I want to get it out of the room. And so I lay hands, and he like I gotta be careful. He starts speaking like I'm going to kill you, stay away from me. Like
Immediately. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like a demon is like, crap, Jesus just showed up. Yeah.
so my hands are on him. I'm praying. I'm just like in the truth and fire, man. It is coming down. He hits the ground. This was the craziest thing that I believe with this instance because we've done plenty of demon casting out and all this craziness, miracles, and God just showing up. Was his eyes were black, so there was no white. There was no white. It was just completely black. And he goes out in the spirit. So he goes to the floor, and I still pray. Well, he wakes up and he starts vomiting. But here's the vomit. The vomit, I'll never forget
It's
it.
like coffee. Is
It's
it like black?
black, completely black,
Yes.
completely black, completely
Yes.
black.
I've experienced
Yes.
this. Yes.
And so I keep going. I'm just praying, I'm praying, I'm praying. He gets up. Guys, I get chills just thinking about it now. He raises his hands, his eyes are crystal blue, and he starts shouting that Jesus is his Lord. And here was the craziest thing is I looked down and I know I saw it because I watched him vomit. The black was gone, the vomit was gone.
This is what I also want to know. Thank you,
Everybody
Billy.
else, everybody else was freaking out. It was awesome. But here was the thing: after it happened, Billy, is everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, what? Give me Jesus!" Like it was like a test. Like because then people were coming up to me and they're like, what happened there? And it was this teaching moment of that. Listen, Jesus, this wasn't me. This was Jesus. Jesus just did this. And guess what? Oh, your back hurts right now? Well, let's lay hands on you and let's get that healed in Jesus' name. And so it became like this little revival in a little room with people that were like freaking out at first. They didn't know what was going. I mean, if you've never been in that type of thing, and someone's going into convulsions and they're speaking demonically and they're like throwing up, and that's pretty freaky. That's like me being a Southern Baptist walking into a Pentecostal church for the first time. You know what I'm saying? It's wild.
I mean, for the kingdom of God is a matter of power, not talk. That's what the Bible says. I mean, it's like just get to it. And I think that God always moves in power. He's always doing it because he's a God who's so humble. Like I can never even grasp the humility of Jesus. Like he's not doing it, even though he deserves all the glory. I think that his heart in showing up like that in power is to draw hearts unto him. So I just love that he's like, I'll put on a show, but it's so your heart draws near to me. I just love it.
Jen, what's really interesting is that, I would love to see Billy's next miracle documentary to be out of the US and somewhere else around the world. Because the reason I say that is the US has no clue about the miracles of God, but other people in other countries do because they have nothing. They have nothing. All they depend on is God. And so you go to those countries and you're seeing people raised from the dead and jump out of wheelchairs and all kinds of stuff because We have so much. We have every. We are those people. They don't know what they're going to eat. They don't know like what's going to happen, and all they have is God, and it's just miracle after miracle after miracle.
Yeah, our faith is in medicine. Our faith is in medicine, and it's in, and medicine's great, don't get me wrong, but it's in all of these things. It's in doctors, it's in, and so all that misplaced, faith, instead of keeping some for God or having the primary faith focused on God, we're putting it in all these temporal things. And so that's all we think about is that solution, not the divine solution to it.
There's an amazing woman, her name's Galen, and she wrote this great book, and she said to me one time, she goes, "What is the opposite of obedience?" And you're like, "Disobedience?" And she said, "No, comfort." I know. I was like, "That is so wise."
And convicting.
Yeah, but, like, that's our problem in the American church. And do wanna, like, I don't wanna poo-poo on the American church, like, God is moving, and it's so exciting to me, especially in the younger generation, like, I'm so pumped, and I'm so here for it. I'm so here for it, like, I'm so pumped, but we have such comfort. It's like it's so easy to run from God here because we have so much comfort, like, it's like, I don't and they don't have that. You're right, like, "Billy, please pack me in your bag, I'm only 5'2", so I can just get real little and then, like, let me travel with you."
Jen, you
Oh
keep
man,
crying, you're gonna get me crying. I'll tell you what, we had Brett Favre on a round table, and he started crying, and
that's great.
I was like, Brett, you're gonna don't cry on me. You're gonna get me going here. I'm an emotional guy. I cry for commercials, but I think that's what could we get to a place, and I think that's what for my story, starting out in that field to now, is what I've constantly been trying to build. Is can you imagine if we truly had that faith that said, "Say to that mountain, be moved, and it'll be moved."
Mhm.
Because if I was to say, Jen, Billy, hey, I'm gonna pick you guys up on a jet. We're gonna go to Arizona, and then we're gonna go stand in front of a mountain, and we're gonna tell that mountain to be moved. Do we really, in our heads, like just seriously, do we really think that that mountain's gonna flip and move? But I think that's the type of faith that I'm trying to have. I know you guys are trying to have, where God
Yeah.
can do anything. We serve the living God that can do anything. People are always like, I need more money or I need more of this. Dude, he owns all the cattle on the hill. He owns every penny, every diamond, gold treasure in heaven is ours. Like, are you kidding me? I tell people all the time, you're royalty. Billy, you're a son. Jen, you're a daughter of the Most High King, which means you're royalty. So everything in heaven is ours. It's
That's
ours.
right.
Claim it.
It's so
Walk in it.
crazy. Yeah, and I think God just, like, he just wants compassion. It's like faith working through love moves mountains. I'm pumped to know you, Brian. I'm pumped that you are ministering to a lot of high-powered people because that is so my heart, and I'm so encouraged. Like, Billy and I talk about that all the time. I'm like, "Who else will go? Like, I'll go, Lord. Like, I'll do anything," Like, I just love this population so much. I'm so pumped. You have a podcast as well, and I wanna know about it because I gotta go listen as well. I'm a big fan of podcasts and all the things. So tell us where we can, like, listen to more of your wealth and wisdom that you've just pulled from heaven.
So my heart was this is that, and I'll say, I think the Father wants an intimacy. It's not about religion, it's about relationship, but I think it's about intimacy. I think in my getting into my older ages of ministry now is I'm thinking all that matters is intimacy. And so what I did was I said, wouldn't it be and I'm not trying to like brag or anything like, oh, Brian does devotional every day. He's such a good Jesus guy. But I do devotional every morning. I just do it. And I do it every night too. And so I thought, you know what would be cool is if I just turned on a camera with me doing my devotional every morning, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, and then putting it in my roundtable Facebook group and then posting it every single morning. And because I feel like people today in the church, we think that Jesus is a Sunday thing. Let's go to church on Sunday and then let's get our word, get filled up. And then if you're really bad, Jen and Billy, you better go back to church on Wednesday and get filled up again. But what I found is, is Jesus is a daily relationship and intimacy with the Father. And so I started this group and now it's finally blowing up and people are enjoying it. And it's not that like I'm saying, hey, I'm just trying to start the conversation. This is my devotional, y'all. But if it starts something in you and stirs something up in you, then keep doing it, keep pushing into it, keep opening the word, keep praying every day to build that relationship. And then so what we did was is we do a Tuesday night. We can call it a podcast, a show, whatever you want to call it. But every night we do a live. So it's like this. What I said was like, wouldn't it be cool if you had a show and a podcast that wasn't just us, but we opened it up live? We opened it up live on all platforms for people to come in, ask questions, talk to our guests, and it would be really fun. I mean, that would be really interesting. And so that's what we do. We're up on 9 platforms. So it's literally the Round Table podcast, the Round Table, and I
On Facebook.
it's on, well, it's on all platforms, but the Roundtable Facebook group, and I can send you the link. Billy has it. He's part of it. And that's where we post our devotionals every morning. And then on Tuesday nights, we go live through there, through Zoom, through YouTube, all of it. And it's just continued. I think people, because I have so many relationships, I said, I think it'll be cool. Just I'll start bringing these people on weekly or every other week, and we'll do interviews with them, let them talk to people. And then if people have questions, because Billy's going to have a lot of questions, he better watch out for Tuesday. He's coming on Tuesday. People are going to be blown away at this documentary, because I watched it and I was in tears the whole time because I've seen the miracles of God and I love it.
I love it.
I love that.
I gotta say one more thing, Billy, because it's like has nothing to do with any of us. It just has something to do with what you just said, Brian. There's a song that I'm obsessed with. I also don't know these people, but it's called Monday Morning Faith. Have you heard this song?
So
Oh, I
good.
like have it on repeat. I just have it on repeat. Like literally, it's one of those songs that like I'm gonna, if it was like the 80s, like my tape would be warped. Like I'm obsessed with that song.
They sing what a God too, and that is so good too that they sing.
But it talks about, the point is it talks about like Sunday morning faith is not gonna get you. Like that's not real. I mean, that's like you're gonna be a Matthew 7:21 person that's very shocked. Like if you don't have a relationship with Jesus. So anyway, big fan. Check it out. Monday Morning Faith. Okay, Billy, wrap it up.
I love that. I love that. That is great. And check out the roundtable. No, this has been amazing, Brian. So appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and the wonderful work you're doing. It's pretty incredible.
Oh, thank you guys for having me, and I love what you guys are doing. You guys are making a huge difference, and I'm huge fans. So I love you guys.